Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to our application walkthrough webinar today. We are glad that you're here and that many of you are joining us today. We hope that with this webinar, we can help you to submit a strong and complete application. But I think what is important before we start here is maybe to introduce ourselves. So my name is Nils. I'm a master student in cybersecurity here at KTH, student ambassador, and one of the hosts today together with Mats.
Yes, I'm Mats, and I work at the KTH admissions office, and I'm one in the team that assess your applications.
Yes, so let's go through the agenda very quick. So we want to present you 5 steps here today for the application process and want to give you some tips how to make a good and strong application, and also want to address some common questions today. Before we start, we should mention that the Q&A section is open. So we have staff and some student ambassadors helping us today with answering your questions. So if you have some questions, then you can ask them in the Q&A section. Possibly we will answer some of your questions already during the webinar, but feel free to ask questions right now there. And also what you will see during the webinar is actually some KTH Winter Edition, which you can see in the background here, which is there. Yes, so let's go and start. So as I said, we're going to go through 5 steps today. How to choose your programs at KTH, then checking the admission requirements, the application at universityadmissions.se, with a deadline of the 15th of January, submitting the documents with a deadline of 2nd of February, and paying the application fee if required until the 2nd of February. The process we are presenting here today applies to programs from KTH. There are also some joint programs which might have a different process. For these ones, please have a look at the website. If you want to apply for the KTH scholarship, the deadline for the KTH scholarship application is also the 15th of January. Yes, so let's jump into the application process. And the first obvious thing you have to do is you have to choose a program at KTH. And KTH has 5 different subject areas, also known as schools. And in total, KTH has over 60 programs available, where 15 of them are joint programs with prominent universities worldwide. You should explore the programs which match your interest, and then you can choose up to 4 programs for the application. Each program has a page, and I really recommend you to have a look at this page because it contains a lot of information about the courses, the career opportunities, the entry requirements. A lot of information is on the webpage. Also, if you're interested, we had some webinars in autumn for the different subject areas, and you can find them, or you can find the recordings on our website. So when I chose a program, what happens then afterwards?
Yes, you have to check the requirements for the program, of course. And there are 2 kinds of requirements. We will begin with the general requirements, which apply to almost all master programs in Sweden, really. So it's not anything special for KTH. You have to have a bachelor's degree, of course. And if you are still in your last year, you can apply. I recommend that you apply anyway, because you can qualify even in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to show proof of your English proficiency. We'll go into this in more detail later. Then you have the program-specific requirements, which, as you understand, varies between the programs. They might require special courses, special amount of credits within a special subject, or even a special field for your bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And you'll find all the requirements on the program web pages, as you mentioned, on the KTH website.
Okay. Yeah. Then let's go to the next step.
Yeah, the next step. That's the actual application. If you have applied to KTH or another Swedish university, you probably have an account on university admissions. Use that. Don't make a new account. Making a new account will cause all kinds of problems with dual identities in the system and such. If you don't have an account on university admission, make one right away. It's nothing to wait for. You don't have to choose the programs when you create the account, which is the next thing.
Yes.
Do choose a program. And as you mentioned, Nils, you can choose up to 4 master's programs.
Yeah. So.
Then, of course, there is a ranking that you have to do between the programs. And this is something you should give a little thought. And it's useful to know how the admission system works.
Mm-hmm.
Say, for example, that you're in the selection, you are accepted to the second program in your application. The third and the fourth program will be deleted. They're out.
Okay.
But if you're eligible to your first choice, you can stay on a waiting list. So if there is a place for you, you can get accepted later. So give the ranking a little thought. And on the program's webpage, you will find also information on acceptance rate and such beside the requirements that can help you decide. You can change in this application up until the last day for application, that is 15th of January.
Yes.
So if you change your mind, you can change your application.
Yes, so it's not fixed when you do it the first time.
No.
Okay.
And then, of course, you press the submit button and your application is submitted. Then we come to the next step, which is to upload all your documents. But Nils, do you have any input on this before we go to this?
Yeah, I think I really want to emphasize that you should be aware of these 2 deadlines. So as we mentioned, application, you have to submit it until the 15th of January and documents until the 2nd of February. And I think it's very good to know these deadlines because, for example, imagine you're waiting for your transcript of record still, then you still have the time to submit it. Or if you want to get some feedback from family or friends about your letter of motivation, for example, then you can also use this time to get this feedback. So I think it's very good to be aware of these 2 deadlines and to, if you can, to use the time to improve your application, basically. Yes.
Yes, then we had come to the documents. You have to submit certificates and diplomas of your completed degree. And note here that you might need to get a translation, an official translation. The accepted languages are Swedish, of course, Danish, Norwegian, French, German, and English. Some universities issue documents in English in the beginning, and they are, of course, accepted. You have to submit the transcript of records, which is your courses and grades.
And what about the translation there?
It's the same.
Okay.
It needs to be translated, if not in the accepted languages. Then you have to submit a proof of English proficiency. There are different ways that you can do that, and we'll delve into that later, about 4 slides away, I think. And the last main document you have to submit is a copy of your passport. And that is mostly because of the admission and the tuition fees. You can also use a national ID card, and it's important that your nationality is on the ID card. Otherwise, it won't be accepted. There are specific documents for each program, such as CV or letter of motivation or summary sheet and such. And in the following, we will take a closer look where you can find country instructions for the different documents.
Yes, but before we do that, also to give some insights here from my side, is that you can submit actually your documents early, and then you will have a chance to get some feedback. So feedback is not guaranteed, but if you submit it early, you can get some feedback if there is something missing or if there's something incomplete, and then you have time until the 2nd of February to correct this. Also to mention is that most documents have to be sent digital, but for some countries there are some specific requirements where your university has to directly send them. For that, please have a look at your country-specific requirements on universityadmissions.se.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we want to have a quick look at now.
Yes. This is a picture from university admissions, where you have the heading country instructions, and the countries are listed. If your country isn't listed, there aren't any special requirements for that country, so the general rules apply. Yeah. And as you mentioned, for some countries, from the top of my head, I know that the United States are such a country, and some African countries. Your university has to send the documents directly to university admissions.
Okay.
But that's in the instructions. So.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, what about English proficiency?
Yes, there are 3 ways you can prove this. You can have English in your upper secondary degrees, grades, and you can have university studies that prove your English proficiency. And the most common is English tests. There are instructions on this on the university admissions webpage. Also, it's very handy to have a national application system. You can have all the information on one place. There are links from the program pages on KTH website to university admissions.
Okay.
For several things, among them English.
Yes, and maybe also to just give a quick insight from my side. For example, when I applied, I did the Cambridge C1 Advanced course, but basically every certificate which is listed on university admissions is okay, but please make sure that if you take some kind of certification, it's one of the certifications accepted. And yeah, make sure before you take the certification.
Yeah.
Yes, so next part.
Yes. As we have mentioned several times already, the documents are listed on the program webpage. You will find them under entry requirements. They begin with the general requirements. As you can see, the small gray squares. And then there are program-specific documents listed, and special requirements if that applies. So these pages will have the same layout for all the programs, but the content vary a bit. Because this information is tailored for each KTH program, and the required documents are mentioned, and the details on what each document should contain is there. And we have chosen sustainable digitalization as an example, just because it's so difficult to say. And here you can see that you need to submit a summary sheet. This is for this program done digitally. It's a web form that you fill in. And then there is a letter of motivation for this program. If you apply to several programs, you should have one letter of motivation for each. Using the same for all the programs, it's a bit less motivating. Shows a bit less motivation, I should say. If a letter of recommendation is required, you can use the same for all the programs. There is, of course, if you want to have that specified, it's not wrong, but you can use the same for all the programs. Most documents are submitted through your account on university admissions. There are some exceptions. Some programs have a PDF form for the summary sheet, and that should be uploaded to university admissions among the other documents.
Okay.
And if you have filled in the web form summary sheet, you don't need to print that and upload it. It's quite okay with the web form. That's how it should be done.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. And the architects have a portfolio that should also be submitted through SharePoint.
Yes, so have a look at your specific requirements for the programs you apply to. Yes, and then the application fee.
The application fee. And that's an interesting thing. If you are not a EU citizen, or really EU, EEA or Swiss citizen, you have to pay an application fee. That's 900 Swedish crowns. This is done to university admissions and doesn't really have anything to do with KTH. It's a fee to use the application system, really. So there is no waiver for this.
Okay.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions about that. That's the cost of applying to Swedish universities. And you can pay the fee directly on the university admissions website, and where you also find the instructions. This fee is valid for 1 semester. So if you apply in another admission round or for other Swedish universities, you don't have to pay the admission fee again. And don't put this off. We can't start processing your applications until this fee is paid. So,
okay, so we should make sure to pay that fee. Okay. Yes, so that's the 5 steps already. To give a quick summary again. So what you have to do first, you have to choose your programs. Then you should check the admission requirements for each program. And then you should apply on universityadmissions.se until the 15th of January. Then you have some more time to submit all the documents until the 2nd of February and to pay the application fee, as we just mentioned, also with a deadline of 2nd of February. But there's one more date you should really put in your calendar, and that's the 26th of March, because that's the exciting day for you. That's the day when admission results are published, and I can tell you it's a day where you're very nervous and but you're also excited. So make sure to put that date in your calendar because that's the important day for you. But yeah, we also want to give you some tips before we go to some common questions.
Yes.
So what are your tips?
Yes, the first tip, of course, is to check your documents. Don't rush this. Make sure the right documents are submitted, and don't submit a lot of documents that aren't required. I was working at another university and I got the instruction manual for a washing machine as a submitted document.
Also interesting.
Very interesting, but not necessary. And check the country instructions at university admissions. You can learn a lot there.
Yes. Yeah, from my side, I can just say that the programming page is really your way to go because you have everything there. As I mentioned, you have information about the content of the program, about career opportunities, about entry requirements. You all have this information on the programming page. And also, what you have on some programming pages is that there are student ambassadors, like I am. So that means that you can send me a question, basically asking me something about KTH, about studying in Sweden, about living in Sweden. So the student ambassadors are there to give you some insights. They're not there to assess your application, so please don't send them your application, but they're there to give you some more insights into KTH, into studying, into life in Sweden and at KTH. And I think that's a very, very valuable thing, which I also used when I applied to KTH. Another thing I want to say is that, yeah, as you also said, take your time and believe in yourselves, because taking your time, that's okay. Like you should take your time to make sure that all things are complete. You can take your time to get some feedback about some things, and I think it's good to do that. And yeah, believing in yourself, I think that's the first thing you have to do to make a good application, because you can do this. You can submit this good and strong application. You just have to believe in yourself, and then I'm sure you will have a good application at the end. So yeah, you can do this. So yeah, these were our tips, and now we want to address some common questions which we often receive. And the first question we have is, how can I know that my application is submitted and correct? So how do I know that?
First of all, you'll get an email confirming that your application is submitted. And when you then start to submit documents, you will have a list with the documents under this part of your account.
Okay.
You can't see the actual document. It will be a file list.
So I should remember the name of the documents I uploaded. Okay.
And it's good to know that this is the same database. Your account on university admissions is looking into the same database as we look in from our side.
Okay.
So what's in there is available for us too.
Okay, that's perfect. That's what we want. Second question, we mentioned the summary sheet. And one question is, do I need to add the summary sheet to my application at universityadmissions.se?
No, as we mentioned, most of them are web forms. And if you have filled in the web form, that's okay. That's the way it should be. And for the programs that still have a PDF form, that should be filled in and uploaded to your documents. So you'll see that when you check the program webpage.
Okay, maybe also one thing maybe to clarify if you didn't got what the summary sheet actually is. So the summary sheet is basically for you or for us, where you provide some information again about your background, education, and some other relevant details, which makes it easier for you to assess the application. So please, you need to submit the summary sheet if the program needs one. So make sure to not forget that.
One more practical thing is that you can't remove documents from university admission, and you can't remove the the web form.
Yeah, either.
Either. So if you've discovered that you have made a mistake, just submit a new.
Okay. Then let's go to the next question.
Well, how about these scholarships? Are all applicants automatically considered for KTH scholarships?
Yeah, there's a quick answer to this, and it's no. So I know that for some universities, when you apply, you're already also basically submitting an application for the scholarship. But that's not the case for KTH. So for KTH, you need an additional application for the scholarship. And if you are eligible and you submitted an application, then you just have to wait until you get a decision. And the deadline here is also the 15th of January. So if you want to apply for the scholarship, please make sure to submit this application on time. If you need more information about the scholarship, you can have a look at the website. Yes, next question. Do the motivation letter and the letters of recommendation need to follow a particular format or structure?
There is no standard template for these. There are some regulations. Letter of motivation should be less than 500 words, and it should be in English. So you have to be concise. And you should use one letter for each program.
Yes.
The letter of recommendations should also be in English, of course, and you can use the same letter for all the programs you apply for. There is a drawback with sending in the documents in that some referees don't want to hand over the letter to you. But the only way to get the letter in to university admissions is either that you submit them, then it's no problem, it goes in with your documents, or that the referee sends them via surface mail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they can do that. There is no general email address that they can send the letters to.
Okay. That's also, I think, a good thing to be aware of.
Yes.
Yes. And next question. So this is my second time applying to KTH. Do I need to submit all the documents again?
No.
Great.
Yeah. Since you already have an account, all the documents you have sent in are there. So some of them will also be registered in the system, not just as files. So you don't need to submit them again. The only thing you need to submit are new documents that are relevant for the courses and programs you are applying for this time.
Okay.
And if some documents were incomplete, for example, that you have applied as last year bachelor student and you now have the finished degree,
okay,
you need to submit that.
Yes. And if I get rejected, does that have any kind of impact for future admission or?
No.
Okay, that's
a clean sheet for every time.
Okay, that's I think that's a relieving thing. Yes, and yeah, you just mentioned it. I'm in the final year of my bachelor's program. Can I still apply?
Yes, you can. You provide an official transcript for all your completed courses up to now, and you submit some kind of documentation from your university that you are enrolled as an active student in your final year. And there is actually a form on university admissions.
Okay, then let's have a look at that.
That you can use. It's available. You'll find it under the heading for final year students. And you type it, print it, and the school types in, and you can send it in.
Okay.
With all your other documents.
Yeah, then please don't forget this if you are in your last years of your bachelor. Yeah, and yeah, that's almost the end. So yeah, what we did today is we presented you the 5 steps, and you can find them on our website again, as you can see here in the background. Our friend Carrie will guide you through these steps again on the website. There's also an international blog which you can have a look at, where current students talk about their experiences, some tips, and I can tell you they know what they're talking about. They also applied in the past and they're studying here. And also, if you have Instagram, we also have an Instagram channel at KTH University, which you can follow if you want. So yeah, something also to mention is we have some future events coming up, and these are so-called chat events. One on the 13th of January from 14 to 17, on the 14th of January from 9 to 12, on the 28th of January from 14 to 17. Please be aware all these times are in the Stockholm time zone, so yeah, check the time for your country. And this is an open chat on our website, where we also have staff and current students there which can answer your questions. So if you have some important questions you want to clarify, then please feel free to join this event and get a quick answer to your question. So yeah, that's it for today. Our Q&A will stay a bit open still, where you can ask some more things. Yeah, we hope that we could provide you some help for a strong and complete application. And we can just say thank you very much for joining today. We wish you good luck with your applications. And we are looking forward to meet you here at KTH in the future. So yeah, goodbye and have a nice day.
Goodbye.